Hey, welcome everybody. Happy Saturday. Think and Grow Rich, the entrepreneur's journey. My name is Paul Martinelli. Thanks so much for jumping in and joining in. Again, in the comments section below, somebody's going to post where you can get a free copy of the book that I'm teaching from. So you'll be able to get a free copy of the book. It has all the line numbers. So as you go through the chapter, as I point out kind of what page I'm on and what line number I'm on, you're able to follow that. Also, there's some other just free bonuses. I think we've included my teaching notes from the first lesson. Thanks so much for some of you have taken the time to even email me and my team and let us know that you're enjoying the resources. You know, normally I'm doing these Saturday live. Today, although it may look live, it's actually not live. It's being broadcast live, but I'm actually recording this right before a weekend where, you know, this is my living room and my dining room and kitchen in the back. It's going to be real busy here in the next 24 hours. I'm hosting my first private mentoring group, mastermind group. I haven't done a mastermind group, like an official mastermind group where we're not just kind of, not just studying a book, but we're spending a year together. So I've got 16 people coming in, some people coming in virtually from all over the world. And these are entrepreneurs who are looking to grow their business. So I'm really stoked. I'm excited for that. And what a great chapter to be talking about as I get ready for this mastermind weekend at my home. We're studying chapter 2, and this is the principle on desire. I may say this for every chapter, that this is my favorite, but I really love this chapter. And this chapter is going to build on what we talked about in the last chapter, where we were talking about in the introduction, where we were talking about our self-talk, right? And we talked about this inner game, and we're going to pick up on that idea of the inner game. And this also sets the stage for the chapter on autosuggestion. I also think that this is probably the part of the book where he makes it very clear what the secret of the book is. So in the preface and introduction, he's talking about there being a secret, that if we know the secret, we understand the secret, we apply the secret to our life, if we're ready to receive it, we have this willingness to be open, he said, then you can have anything it is that you want in your life without violating the rights of other people. So in this chapter, he's going to, I think, reveal what I believe that secret to be. So we're on, let me just see here. We're on page 33. I got my little post-it notes all over the place. We're on page 33, lines 1 through 3. And he says, when Edward C. Barnes, so this is Barnes whose goal was to be a partner with Edison, right? He says, when Edward C. Barnes climbed down from the freight train in Orange, New Jersey, more than 30 years ago, he may have resembled a tramp. Remember, in the introduction, Edison told Napoleon Hill that as he looked at Barnes when he first met him, he looked like an ordinary tramp. He looked at him, and like, if you looked at the guy, if you were trying to judge a book by its cover, you would thought this guy's never going to amount to anything. But then Edison said, but there was something about him, something I could sense about him. And what he was doing was Edison was picking up the energy vibration of Barnes's desire. And he said, and I knew that nothing was going to get in this guy's way. And I knew that he wasn't going to take no for an answer. So he says, when Barnes climbed down from the freight train, because he's taking a freight train, because he doesn't have the money to get to where Edison is. So he kind of like the old, you hear about the hobos kind of jumping on the train. He jumps on a train, goes to New Jersey. He says he may have resembled a tramp. He says, but his thoughts were those of a king. See, you can't see as an entrepreneur, you can't see yourself as you are today. You can't think about your vision for what it is that you want to create and see yourself as you are today in the conditions and circumstances. Because see, right now, what you've created in your life is an expression of your awareness of your potential. Your results are not a reflection of your potential. They're a reflection of your current level of awareness of your potential is infinite. And so the point here is to understand is that, through this study, through what I'm going to be doing with these people this weekend with our mastermind and what we'll do over the course of the year, the whole purpose of this is for us to expand our awareness. And as we begin to expand our awareness of our potential, when we come to realize that we're fully resources, when we become aware of the resources within us, then all of a sudden our awareness of our potential expands. And guess what? We then begin to export that level of awareness, and it shows up in our results. So as an entrepreneur, you have to sell yourself first. Make no mistake about it, as an entrepreneur, you're going to have to sell something, right? You're going to have to sell a product or a service or a program. But you have to sell you first. You've got to be sold on you. And you have to be willing to play this inner game. That this is an inner game. See, Barnes had his thoughts of those of a king. He was able to use his imagination and see beyond his conditions and circumstances. And you have to stand guard. In James Allen's book, As Man Thinketh, he says you have to take the helm of thought. You have to challenge and crush any negative limiting belief. See, you have to first see what it is that you want and create before it could ever come into fruition. On lines 4 through 8, he says here on line 5, he said he saw himself. So he's talking about Barnes. He saw himself standing in Edison's presence, and he heard himself asking Edison for an opportunity to carry out the one consuming obsession of his life, a burning desire to become the business partner of Edison. He wanted to become this associate of this great inventor. So what do we have? He saw himself. He's not talking about he saw himself in the mirror. He saw himself in the inner mind, with this inner eye of understanding. He saw himself. He heard himself. He built this mental model of perfection. This is an inner game. And notice, he says he wanted to carry out an all-consuming obsession. And see, that's what I believe the secret of this book is that we have to understand that all through the book, what do we know? First off, he introduces us to this word desire. He introduces us to that right in the author's preface, and then through the introduction and all through the book. But he goes desire. Then he phrases it. It's a dominating desire. Then he says it's a burning desire, and now he's talking about it being this all-consuming obsession. And I believe that's the secret of the book. The secret of the book, the secret of this process is that when we begin to have this desire, we have to nurture it, cherish it, and foster it. We have to hold true to it. We have to feed it our faith and starve it from our doubt. And we have to have it grow in its amplitude of vibration so that it becomes the dominating energy that we broadcast out to the world. Because that's what happened when Edison saw Barnes. He didn't see this homeless tramp. He didn't see this rundown man. He felt something different. He could feel it in him. And on line 9, he says, Barnes' desire was not a hope. It was not a wish. It transcended everything else. He says it was a keen, he says it was a keen pulsating desire. Keen means highly developed. Pulsating means a strong and regular rhythm. That's what pulsating is. When something's pulsating, it's a strong and consistent. It's a regular rhythm. Boom, boom, boom. And so what did Barnes have? Barnes didn't have a hope or a wish. He had this keen, pulsating desire. What does he says here? He says it transcended everything else. That his inner belief, his innermost desire transcended the conditions and circumstances of poverty that he was in. It transcended him being down on his luck. None of that mattered. So powerful when you think about it. On line 11, he says the desire was not new when he approached Edison. He had had this for a while. It had been Barnes's dominating desire for a long time. Now he says, in the beginning, when the desire first appeared in his mind, it may have been and probably was only a wish, but it was no mere wish when he appeared to Edison. See, energy, thought energy, does only two things. It expresses and it expands. As an entrepreneur, we have to take personal responsibility for that. We have to be the keepers of the keys to the kingdom within us. We can't allow the dream vampires to come and suck our dream right out from us, suck our hope and our desire out from us. We have to take responsibility for this. On lines 15, he says, a few years later, Edwin C. Barnes again stood before Edison in the same office where he met the inventor for the first time. This time, though, his desire had been translated into reality. He was in business with Edison. The dominating dream of his life had become a reality. My friends, as an entrepreneur, this is a gut check for you. How does your desire right now compare? Is your desire, and look, it happens all the time. Has your desire been reduced to a to-do list? Has your desire been reduced to just kind of the busyness of things that you've got to get done? Has your desire been reduced to the hassles and the headaches of the struggles and frustrations and the letdowns of other people and the disappointments and sometimes flat out disloyalty of people? Of just the learning and growing pains? Gut check yourself this weekend. I mean, that's one of the things we're going to be doing in my mastermind here is how bad do you really want? You've come here, you're going to be in a mastermind group, you're going to dedicate you're going to dedicate a year to focused energy, focused thought, focused masterminding and networking on this idea. Are you on fire? Because you've got to be on fire for your dream. You've got to be on fire for it. If you're not, who will be? You've got to sell you first. Again, you can get a copy of this book, the notes, the link to get the copy of the book for free. It's right in there, and I'm teaching right from this book, and so you can get a copy of it for free. He says on line 26, I love this. Think about how many times in these first three sections of the book, in the author's preface, the introduction to desire, he talks about how much time has passed. Now here we go on line 26. He says 5 years passed. He says 5 years passed before the chance he had been seeking made an appearance. 5 years. Go check yourself, entrepreneur. You got the stomach for 5 years? Do you have the commitment? Is this desire? I mean, you got to have one hell of a desire. You got to have one hell of a desire for 5 years to pass before a chance occurred. He says during all those years, not one ray of hope, not one promise of attainment of his desire had been held out to him. Imagine that, 5 years. Would you have quit? Would you have quit? See, to everyone except himself, he appeared only another cog in the Edison business wheel. But in his own mind, he was the partner of Edison every minute of the time, from the very day that he first went to work there. See, if you're an entrepreneur, chances are you have 1 foot in an old life and 1 foot in your new life. If you're an entrepreneur, most entrepreneurs start, straddled. We start with 1 foot in a job and this other foot in this side hustle that we're trying to grow, this idea that we're trying to birth. And there's competing commitments, aren't there? I mean, we're pulled in kind of each direction. And what he's saying here is every day that he went into work as an employee, because he started as an employee, Every day he went in and he saw himself as partner. Everybody else just saw him as another, cog in the wheel. See, this, as an entrepreneur, the sooner you accept and buy in that this is a you and you deal, that it doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter what other people say. Other people's opinion is none of your business. What others think about you holds no weight, no water, no consequence to you. See, until you understand that this is a you and you deal as an entrepreneur, you will rely on other people. You will depend on other people. You will see potential in other people and believe that in order for you to be, do, or have, that it's their potential and not your potential. Until you understand that this is an inner game, you'll blame other people. I've built 5 multi-million-dollar companies that have generated over $500 million worth of revenue. Think about that. I'm a high school dropout. I built 5 of them. And I can tell you, I stopped the blame game long ago. I stopped blaming other people. I stopped relying on other people for my success and achievement. Hey, doesn't mean I didn't work with them. Doesn't mean I didn't collaborate. Doesn't mean I didn't partner. But at the end of the day, I knew that I had to be able to count on me. I had to believe in me. I had to develop that inner fortitude of belief. And it's your desire that's going to allow you to do that. Now, here's what I want you to go. If you go, we're on page 34 in my book on line 37. And last week we talked about self-talk, right? We talked about the 4 main areas of 4 levels of self-talk, and then this 5th level of self-talk, which is kind of self-talk at a spiritual level or spiritual awareness. So on line 37, he says, he went to Orange. He's talking about Barnes. He did not say to himself, I will try. And on line 30 he said, I will see Edison. On line 40, he said, he did not say, I will. On line 41, he said, I will do this. I will do that. I will. So he's talking about here in this section from 37 to line 43, he's talking about the conversations that Barnes had with himself. So when he went to Orange, he did not say to himself, I will try to introduce Edison to give me a job of some sort. He said, I will see Edison and put him on notice that I've come to go into business with him. He did not say, I will work there for a few months. If I get no encouragement, he said, I will quit and get a job someplace else. But what he did say is, I will start anywhere. I will do anything Edison tells me to do before, and then here it is, I am through. I will be an associate. And if you just follow this all the way down, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got 12 times in those 7 lines, where he talks about, I will, I am. This is the inner game. And I love on line 49, when he's done talking about all his self-talk, I didn't say this, I said this to myself. I didn't say this to myself, I said this to myself. I didn't say this, I said this. And I saw myself as I am this, I am this, I am this. At the end of that, on line 49, he says, he left himself no possible way of retreat. He had to win or perish. He left himself no possible way of retreat. What does that mean? That means that he was in control. This was, he imposed this upon himself. In other words, he recognized that the only thing that could really hold him back was himself, not conditions and circumstances. So he left himself no possible way of retreat. He had to win. And here it is on line 50. He says, that is all there is to the story of Barnes' success. That's all there is. Period. That's all there is. Period. End of story. Period. End of story. At the end of the day, he saw himself, he heard himself, he played the inner game, his inner dialogue matched the beliefs that he wanted, and he just held them for 5 years, even when there was no evidence, no chance, no promise, no ray of hope. Think about that. Eric Hoffer said that the dreamers inherit the earth. James Allen said that dreamers are the saviors of the world. See, I'm gonna change out the word dreamers for entrepreneurs, because if you're an entrepreneur, you're a dreamer. Dreamers inherit the earth. Hoffer's quote was, in times of change, it's the learners who inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. What's he saying? He's saying that it's entrepreneurs who are willing to be open, receptive to new ideas, that are willing to take risks. It's entrepreneurs who are willing to do things others won't do. They're the ones that inherit the earth. While the learned, those people who think they know it all, those people who think, well, this is it, I've arrived. He says they inherit a world that no longer exists. In other words, while you think that this is as good as it gets, or while you think, okay, I like things just the way they are, the world continues to evolve and grow. Why? Because of thought energy. Thought energy does two things. It expresses itself and it expands. As an entrepreneur, we would have it no other way. We would have it no other way. As an entrepreneur, all we want is a shot. And you know what? We don't even want a fair shot. Because if you're a true entrepreneur, you don't believe in fair. You don't think, well, the only way this is going to work is if I get a fair shot. There's no such thing as fair when you're an entrepreneur. Things will never be fair. If there was a such thing as fairness, then who's the arbitrator of what's fair? It's not fair that I was born into poverty. It's not fair that I grew up in a violent, abusive home. It's not fair that I had a stuttering disability. It wasn't fair that I was labeled learning disabled. It wasn't fair that I dropped out. None of that was fair. But the world didn't care. It wasn't like when I would walk into an opportunity that I have 4 or 5 people with violins playing some sad song. At first I thought that's what it was. I got really good at telling myself this pity party story. It's not fair. It's not my fault. And the minute I start to look for fairness as an entrepreneur, then I got people to blame other than me. And it's an inner game. It's up to me. As entrepreneurs, we change the world. It was entrepreneurs who cure diseases. It's entrepreneurs who end suffering. It's entrepreneurs who bring justice to the world. It's entrepreneurs who break the glass ceilings. It's entrepreneurs who open the doors to opportunity. It's entrepreneurs who create capitalism and free marketplace where dreams thrive, where somebody is truly measured by the content of their character and not the color of their skin. That's an entrepreneur capitalistic perspective, 100%. And all we're looking for is a shot. We don't even need you to give us a shot. We're willing to create the shot, and we don't even care if the shot is free. Fair, or free. We'll pay whatever price there is for the shot. We'll pay whatever price is necessary. My first shot came when I had an opportunity to partner with and be mentored by Bob Proctor. I paid Bob $300,000 for that opportunity. I had a shot at an opportunity to partner with John Maxwell. I had to guarantee John the first $1 million. And if there wasn't a first $1 million, it was coming out on me. I had to go on the dotted line. There was no guarantee that what I was going to build with John as his business partner, that it would be successful. There's no guarantees. I mean, there was many. There were more people betting against me and it than there were thinking it would work. As an entrepreneur, this is an inner game. This is an inner game. Let's go over to page 36. And let's look at line 81. He says, every human being who reaches the age of understanding of purpose, of money, so he's talking about money, every human being who reaches the age of understanding of the purpose of money wishes for it. Isn't that true? Once you understand the concept of money, all of a sudden you start to realize, I think I want some of that stuff. Once you understand its purpose, and let's understand, as an entrepreneur, entrepreneurs have a really good, healthy understanding of what money is. A true capitalist understands. A true entrepreneur understands. I see the two so closely tied. Free enterprise, free market. That's what entrepreneurs are all about. The flow of free ideas. Let ideas solve the problems. Let ideas lead our way. But we understand that the purpose of money is only for two things. One, money is used to make you comfortable. And if you're comfortable, you can be more creative. I live in this beautiful home. I'm very creative here. I'm comfortable here. It's very comfortable. And so therefore I can be really creative. The second purpose of money is to provide service beyond my physical presence. So there are children today in many parts of the world who will be drinking fresh water from a well that I funded. Now, I didn't go and dig the well. I didn't install the pump. I didn't pump. But I put my money to work. There's children today that are in school in Kenya that are eating, that are wearing uniforms, that are taking nutraceuticals that'll help their brains develop. I didn't cook breakfast for them this morning. I wasn't in front of the classroom. I didn't give them the pill. I didn't do the laundry of their uniforms, but my money went to work there. And that's the purpose of money. And an entrepreneur understands that. And because we understand that, oh my goodness, I can be more comfortable and more creative, and I can do more in the world. I can move my agenda forward more when I have money. We absolutely desire for it. He says, but desiring riches with a state of mind that becomes an obsession. See, wishing will not bring wishes. Wishing will not bring riches. You can want and wish and want and wish and want and wish for riches. He says, but desiring riches with a state of mind that becomes an obsession, then planning definite ways and means to acquire these riches, and then backing those plans with persistence, which does not recognize failure, that's what brings riches. Look what he says. Desiring at a level where it's an obsession. Planning definite ways and definite means. Backing those plans with persistence. And not recognizing failure. That's what does it. And now he introduces us to the 6 steps. This is the 6 steps for cultivating desire. And I think this is important because these 6 steps also help us understand the process of autosuggestion. Autosuggestion is a method of encoding your brain with new beliefs, concepts, and ideas. I hope you have signed up for the Brain Revolution. And it's a fascinating journey through understanding the hardware and software of the brain, and taught by Dr. Daniel Amen and Dr. Joseph McClendon, PhD. Both are one is a neuropsychiatrist, Dr. Amen, the other is a neuropsychologist, and they talk about the organ of the brain and encoding that brain or reprogramming that brain. And one of those ways is through autosuggestion. And these 6 steps is really a process of autosuggestion. So this is vitally important that you do these 6 steps. Now, again, I shared that on my version of the book, it says that 7 million people had bought the book, but 7 million people didn't get rich. Very few people who read this book, very few people who will do this study will actually take the time to do these 6 steps. Do these 6 steps. As an entrepreneur, we do things other people are unwilling to do. That's what we do. That's what sets us apart. We show up when others don't show up. We perform when others don't perform. We go further when people quit. We go faster when people slow down. That's who we are as entrepreneurs. We don't keep score against ourselves. We don't mark time by the failures. We enter into a feedback loop when as an entrepreneur, when we hit failure, we say, okay, what do I need to learn? What do I need to learn? Not whose fault was it? What do I need to learn? How do I get better from this? This is harvest time. What can I learn? Let me harvest the good and then apply that understanding and awareness to the next step. So he's giving us 6 steps to cultivate desire. And these 6 steps are probably the most basic process for applying autosuggestion. Now, there's all kinds of ways you can use autosuggestion and different processes of autosuggestion to encode or reprogram your mind. So again, go to brainrevolution.com. Go to brainrevolution.com. Make sure you sign up for it. Mark your calendar for April 10th. It's a live event taught by Dr. Raymond and Joseph McClendon. And I think you will be really well served. I think you're going to be really well served when you understand the inner game. So he says, first, be definite as to the amount. So when we're thinking about money, Zig Ziglar said, you want to be, he said, you don't want to be a wandering generality. You want to be a meaningful specific. See, your subconscious mind that you're trying to reprogram, because our subconscious mind controls our self-belief, it controls our self-image, it controls our self-esteem, it controls all of our behavior. It is the who we are of who we are. It is when the early Greeks referred to this as the heart of hearts. It's where spirit resides within you. It's where all of your habits are. It's the power that operates your life, your subconscious mind. The organ which houses this is the brain. The subconscious mind is then expressed in every cell of your being. Brain is the electronic chemical switching station. Mind, particularly the subconscious mind, is the activities of the cell found in every single cell of your being that registers the frequency of the brain. So when a thought is triggered inside your brain, it registers in every cell of your being. And so when you think, scary thoughts, your palms sweat. It's expressed there. When you think, embarrassing thoughts, your cheeks get red. When you think happy thoughts, you smile. When you think sad thoughts, you cry. It's expressed in your physiology. This mind, body, and spirit connection. You've got to make sure you join the Brain Revolution. Make sure you go and register today and get all the free resources you're entitled to get. And join us on April 10th. But it's the subconscious mind is deductive. In other words, it can't interpret. It just accepts anything that's given to it. This is why a 5-year-old believes in Santa Claus. Because a 5-year-old hasn't yet developed the ability to reason, so they can't make an illogical case that a reindeer can't fly, and that there can't be somebody in the North Pole who makes toys. They can't reason. And so when the idea is introduced to them, because they lack conscious awareness to, inductively evaluate and logically reason, everything just goes right into their subconscious mind, and their subconscious mind accepts anything that's programmed into it as true. Not just true, but their truth. And so this part of you is very literal. So when you say, I want more money, if I gave you $1, would that be more? Sure, it would be more, but that's probably no. I've never met anybody who has a goal to make $1 more. You want $100,000 more. You want $1 million more. So here you want to get really specific. You want to program and encode into this non-conscious mind the exact amount that you want. Then he says number 2. So you're going to write that down. Number 2, determine exactly what you intend to give. What do you intend to give? This is about the law of sacrifice. The law of sacrifice says that we have to let go of things of a lesser value for the attainment of things of a greater value. As an entrepreneur, this is what we do perhaps better than anybody else. As an entrepreneur, we very quickly say, my dream, my goal, my business is of higher value than the TV show, than the Netflix binging, than bowling out on Thursday nights. It's an obsession. It's what we think about. We're consumed with it. Outside of our primary love relationship and outside of our relationship with God, this is it. We don't go golfing on Saturdays. We're not because golf, although we may enjoy golf is of lower value. So the law of sacrifice says we have to be willing to let go of things of a lesser value for the attainment of something of a greater value. But it's not about letting go or grabbing on. The law of sacrifice is about defining. As an entrepreneur, we define my dream is of higher value. And so when somebody says, do you want to go out, on Friday night, grab a couple of beers and some chicken and maybe watch the game? No. I want to stay in and study and rehearse my speech. Or no, I want to get a good night's sleep because I got to get up early in the morning on Saturday and go and do a job or whatever it is that I've got to do. No, I want to practice my sales presentation. Right? So he's saying, what are you going to give in return? Number 3 is he says establish a date for when you intend. Why is that important? Well, because when you set a date, you're defining this as something that's urgent. Setting a date for it does 2 things. 1, it creates urgency. 2, it makes it real. Now, here's the important thing. At best, you're guessing, right? So when you set the date, if you don't, let's say you set a date that, you're going to have your goal by August 15th, 2021. And when August 15th comes, nope, you missed. You didn't fail to achieve the goal. You got the date wrong. So, have a healthy perspective. As entrepreneurs, we don't keep score against ourselves. True entrepreneurs don't recognize failure. But line 85, they have plans. They back those plans with what? Persistence, which does not recognize failure. So if we have a goal to become a millionaire or to earn $50,000 by this date or that date, if we don't get it, we don't say, see, I can't do it. That's evidence that I'm a failure. No, it's an evidence that you got the date wrong, Jack. What's the next date? And pick that date. And once you pick that date, it makes it real. And once you pick that date, it sets up urgency. Now, step 4 is create a plan. Create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once, whether you're ready or not. Ooh. Entrepreneurs don't waste time getting ready. We jump and we build our wings on the way down. We drive everybody around us nuts. I drive my team crazy. Poor Heather Manzano. Pray for Heather Manzano. Okay? Because I drive this poor woman crazy. Just as soon as we're going in one direction, we're off into another direction. Just as soon as one idea is done, we're ready to go, and off we go. And we're not ready. And off we go. And Heather is one of the most flexible people who is not flexible. When she first started, she would never been able to do that. And as she studied, and as she grew, and as she applied this in her own business, and she saw her own growth and her own business grow, she is now one of the most flexible people that I've worked with. She's not locked into an idea. She knows, okay, we're changing gears. Let's go. We're changing gears. We don't have to be ready. Look, entrepreneurs don't need to be 100% ready. We need to be 1% ready. Do we have 1%? Great. Let's start. Because we understand that we're momentum creators. Now notice what he says here on line 4. Notice what he says. He says, create a definite plan. He doesn't say create an elaborate plan. Not some elaborate plan. What's a definite plan? What's the first thing that comes into your awareness? Let's get that down. Will that move you closer? Yeah, great. Let's go. Let's begin at once. Don't overcomplicate things. KISS. Keep it super simple. Keep it super simple. Now, step 5 is you're going to take 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you're going to take those 4 decisions that you've made, and you're going to reduce it to writing. You're going to write out a clear, concise statement for the amount of money you intend to acquire, name the time limit for its acquisition, state what you intend to give for the money, and describe clearly the plan through which you intend to accumulate it. So now you're going to write it all out. He didn't say, and he could have, he didn't say type it out. He said write it out. Why did he say write it out? Because writing causes thinking. So for those of you who, old school, pen, right? Pen, piece of paper, write it out. Writing causes thinking. And then step 6. This is really part, the anchoring part. All of these steps are part of autosuggestion. Every single one of them. Every single one of them is a very act. Defining the amount of money you want is an absolute activator for encoding and reprogramming your mind. Absolutely. Determining exactly what you intend to give, the thought process of that is absolutely an activator, right? Establishing a definite date, creating the plan, all of those. But it's step 6 here is read your written statement aloud twice daily. Once just before retiring at night and once before arising. And as you read, see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the money. This is really critical. Remember, we're working with our non-conscious or our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind has no ability to differentiate from what's real and from what's imagined. So what he's saying here is you write this out, you're writing out your future vision in present tense. As though you're writing your future state as though you've already achieved it. You're building this image of it done and complete. You're not writing out that one day I will have this. You don't want to be in I will have this one day energy. You want to be in an I have this. I'm so happy and grateful now that I am. It's an inner game. It's an inner game. And you want to read it aloud twice a day. Why do you want to read it aloud twice a day? You want to read it aloud twice a day because when you speak, life and death begins in the tongue. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word is made flesh. You want to speak it out loud because when you do, you increase the amplitude of vibration. Entrepreneurs are not ashamed of their dream. We will speak our dream alive. Now, if we go over on page 37 to line 129, he says these steps call for no hard labor. They call for no sacrifice. They do not require one to become ridiculous or unthinking. To apply them calls for no great amount of education. So can you do this? Yeah, this isn't hard work. This doesn't require sacrifice. Now look, sacrifice as I define it is about defining values, right? It doesn't require any major sacrifice. This is easy to do. He says it doesn't require you to become ridiculous or unthinking. You're not some foolish person doing this. It calls for no great amount of education. I'm a high school dropout. If you can comprehend the words I'm saying, you can do this. He says, but the successful application of these 6 steps does call for sufficient imagination. So you're going to have to activate your imagination to enable you to see and to understand that the accumulation of money cannot be left to chance, good fortune, or luck. So in other words, you have to see beyond your conditions and circumstances. So if you're going to define and decide how much money you want, and you're going to determine a date, and you're going to decide what you're going to give up and what you intend, and you're going to create a plan, all of that requires you to use your imagination in a really healthy way. Most people use their imagination to imagine the worst case scenario and all the things that can go wrong. What he's saying here is you want to use your imagination to see into your future and to recognize that luck and chance, have good fortune, have nothing to do with it. We create our own. He says, one must realize that all who have accumulated great fortunes first did a certain amount of dreaming, hoping, wishing, desiring, and planning before they acquired money. So it starts kind of out, we got a dream, we got this want, we got this hope, we've got this wish, and this energy continues to grow. Again, desire, dominating desire, burning desire. Over on page 38, on line 138, he says white heat of desire, right? So desire, dominating desire, burning desire, white heat of desire, all-consuming obsession. You see the progression of this energy express and expand with you and through you, ultimately as you. On the bottom of page 39, line 190 to 193, he says, if the thing you wish to do is right, so here we're not talking about using this process to harm people. If it's right, and if you believe in it, go ahead and do it. Put your dream across and never mind what they say. Say if you meet with temporary defeat, for they perhaps do not know that every failure begins with it. Every failure begins with it the seed of equivalent success. See, don't expect or require that other people see your dream. Don't expect or require people to believe in you or believe in your dream. I hear people say, I would start this business, but my wife doesn't support me. She doesn't believe in me, or my husband doesn't believe in me. Don't require for them to believe in you. Do you believe in you? This is a you and you deal. Do you believe in you? Don't require for people to understand your vision. They don't. Could you imagine people who were hanging around, Elon Musk when he was, 17 or 18 years old? They think the guy was nuts. Could you imagine sitting down, 30 years ago with you're at a dinner party in Seattle and some, quirky little guy comes in and says, well, I think what I'm going to do is, I see this internet thing. I think I'm going to start selling books on the internet, and people can buy books from me, and I'll pack them up in the garage and send them out to people all over the world. And, I'll become, the richest man in the world, and I'll become I'll have $1 trillion company, and we'll be the biggest company. Look at him like he had 10 heads. But that's the story of Jeff Bezos. He didn't care what they said. You've got to understand, as an entrepreneur, we are operating at a higher level of awareness than most people. Again, it doesn't mean that we're smarter than other people. We're just operating at a higher level of awareness. And embrace that and accept it. Don't fight that. On page 43, he says, there is a difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it. No one is ready for a thing until he believes he can acquire it. So you can want and wish, but until you really believe that you can acquire it, you can't receive it. It will always be outside of your reach. You never outperform your own self-belief. In this life, we don't get what we want. We get what we believe. This is an inner game. This is you and you. And this is really hard to develop yourself. That's why it's so powerful to be in this study. That's why it's powerful to come join a mastermind group. If it's not my mastermind group, join somebody's mastermind group. If you want to, send me an email, paul@paulmartinelli.net, if you want to join the mastermind group, if you'd like to join one. I've got 2 in March and 1 or 2 in May. Get in one of these. Get in a circle of people who will fortify your belief, who will challenge you, who will encourage you, and who will believe in you. Who, when you share your wild and crazy idea, will look at you with wide-eyed expectation about how soon is it going to happen and how can I help you? That's what you want. That's the kind of people you want to surround yourself with. Remember, no more effort is required to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity, than is required to accept misery and poverty. Think of $5 or €5 or whatever it is in your currency. Think of $5. Get an image of what that looks like. I can see a $5 bill. Now imagine what that looks like in quarters. So I can see stacks. Now imagine if you had $5, what could you buy? Let's say you walked into a convenience store. You have $5. What could you buy? You can buy some chips. You can buy some cookies. Right? You can buy $5. What could you buy with $5? Now think about having, I don't know, let's say you had $1,000. What does $1,000 look like? For me, it's 10 $100 bills, right? And think of what $1,000 looks like in $1 bills. Oh my goodness! Think of it now in quarters, right, all over the place, right? Now imagine you go in the convenience store now. Now what do you buy for $1,000? Well, you buy a whole shelf. Let me ask you. Think of just $1 million. Now, that's even hard to comprehend. $1 million. How much? Oh my goodness. $1 million. That's 1,000 1,000s. It's 1,000. Now you walk in the store. What can you buy? You buy the whole store. Let me ask you. Did it take you any more energy to think of the 5 or the 1,000? See, it doesn't take you any more effort to dream big. That's what he's saying here. This is an inner game, guys. Who controls whether you think of 5, 1,000, or 1,000,000? Well, in this case, I did because I was directing the conversation. And you know what? That's how most people live, is they let somebody else direct the conversation. They let somebody else control what they think. Take the helm of thought. Free thinking for yourself. Let's go over here on page 44. He says, desire outwits Mother Nature. Here he tells this great story of his son who was born without ears and expected never to be able to hear. This is a fascinating story of desire. It's a fascinating story of how he reprogrammed his son's mind to literally begin to hear and to find a cure for his deafness. And so if you haven't read that, we won't take the time in this study to go through it. It's a fantastic story. Let's bring this in for a landing on page 53, line 578. How can one harness and use the power of desire? How can one harness and use the power of desire? This has been answered through this and subsequent chapters in the book. This message is going out to the world at the end of the longest, perhaps most devastating depression America has ever known. So, this book is being published, during right at the tail end here of the depression, right? So think about this. It's reasonable to presume that the message may come to the attention of many who've been wounded by the depression, those who've lost fortune, others who've lost their positions, and great numbers who must reorganize their plans and stage a comeback. For many of us, for a lot of us, we know family and friends who are doing this from the COVID crisis. To all these, I wish to convey the thought that all achievement, no matter what may be its nature or its purpose, must begin with intense, burning desire for something definite. an intense, burning desire for something definite. Through some strange and powerful principle of mental chemistry, which she has never divulged, nature wraps up the impulse of strong desire, that something which recognizes no such word as impossible and accepts no such reality as failures. Entrepreneurs, we live beyond conditions and circumstances. Conditions and circumstances can't control us. We understand that this is an inner game. We see our truth over the facts of our life. We recognize that the facts that we don't have time, we don't have money, we don't have connections, we don't have resources, we're not ready. Those are all facts. But the truth is that we have infinite potential. The truth is that we would not be able to conceive of the idea if we weren't fully resourced to bring it forward. This is how an entrepreneur thinks. This is how an entrepreneur believes. And an entrepreneur knows that facts change. And that this is our truth. That the truth is that our potential is infinite. As entrepreneurs, we live on purpose. We live on purpose. And we are obsessed with expressing that purpose through our desire, through our dream, through our goals, through our businesses. And we operate by faith. We operate by faith. And that's our next chapter. I hope you'll join me again as we continue to study Think and Grow Rich, the study filtered through the entrepreneur's journey. Make sure you click on the link to get the free resources that I talked about for the book. Make sure you join the Brain Revolution. Go to brainrevolution.com and sign up for Joseph McClendon and Dr. Daniel Amen. And if you'd like to join a private mastermind group, be part with me, sign up. Just send me an email, paul@paulmartinelli.net. If you're ready to be in an environment where you're going to be challenged, stretched, resourced, encouraged, believed in, and go through a model that is proven and wonderful, that will raise your awareness like nothing else in every area of your life, send an email to paul@paulmartinelli.net, subject line, mastermind group, and I'll have somebody reach back out to you. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. God bless. Bye-bye.